8th Air Force started, we flew 25 missions.
Yeah.
They did. And as I said, your chances of completing a tour were pretty. I've read a lot of history about the 8th Air Force, and it was really bad.
Yeah.
And mainly due to the German fighter attacks. Because earlier in the war, the German attacks on the formations were very effective from head on. They killed a lot of bombardiers.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Because that was the only place where the guns in the aircraft didn't cover well. So they always made frontal attacks. And they finally came out with a chin turret beneath the nose, which the bombardier operated. I never used it, actually. It was there, but because the Germans weren't attacking when I was flying. But so the big difference is the 24 came out a little later, and it's faster, and it carried a larger bomb load. They're both 4-engine. It was a little heavier, a little faster. They didn't replace any of the B-17 in the 8th Air Force, but the late groups that were bomb groups that were sent to England were equipped with B-24s rather than 17s, and the 24 took over mainly in the Pacific, although there were 17s there too. But the 17 was a safer aircraft. It could take more punishment than the 24. Of course, there was strength in numbers. 1,000 aircraft, and with a similar number of fighter escorts. You know, we were in practically, except for flak. Of course, the flak was really potent, and it stayed potent throughout the war until the last days.
What actually brought your plane down?
Attention crew, we're into enemy airspace. Man your guns and maintain watch. I repeat, we're into Nazi country, boys. So keep your eyes peeled and your guns ready.
Were hit by flak?
Just the flak, like punctured holes in it?
Or blew out the engines, or?
I think something hit, and one of the engines was smoking, and the pilot feathered it.
Yeah.
But he thought that the electrical system was hit by flak, and consequently,
we're going down. Joe, get your parachute on and get out of here. I'm following you. Go, 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 go.
And consequently, we had no power. The first thing he did was call for a fighter escort, and the next thing he called for was to the navigator was heading for Switzerland. because we were close to Switzerland.
Oh, you were?
But the aircraft was, but he had left it in autopilot, and it was going like this.
Oh, yeah.
In a circle. And I was the last one out of the aircraft. I don't know why, but it just took my time. And I looked up in the cockpit, and there was nobody there.
You said, I better get out of here, right?
So you jumped out with a parachute.
The crew on bombers, in fighter planes, the pilot wore a backpack on his harness. And as a crewman on a bomber with 10 people, you wore a harness and you snapped a chest pack onto it. You see, in front. That's the way we all did.
That was your
and
parachute?
You guarded your chest pack very carefully. Anyway, I left the aircraft, and I pulled the ripcord after waiting a little while, and nothing happened.
Oh, no.
This is true.
Oh, no.
What usually happens, there's a little pilot chute that comes out, and it pulls out the main chute.
Yeah.
And the pilot chute didn't come out. Well, I started frankly pulling out, and it finally came out and pop.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Boy, that was.
So what were you thinking in those few seconds?
He was looking around.
You just, I don't know, you just.
Do what how you're trained to do, right?
Tell him about.
Well, no, we were all scared. I saw a lot of aircraft take the direct hits, you know, and maybe in some cases a couple would get out of the aircraft. And this is a heck of a thing to talk about on a holiday, but there was one instance where the night before, this new guy arrived at the air base, and he was the first pilot, and he was flying his first mission as a co-pilot.
Yeah.
Right on my wing. And of course I was watching the sky and so on, and I saw his plane get hit, and I saw him standing by the escape hatch, and he seemed to be holding the chute like it had already been sprung. I couldn't
Really? Maybe you pulled
Anyway,
it
he
through.
left, and the chute got hung up on the loop antenna under the nose.
Oh.
And he was hanging there, and he looked over at me.
Oh my gosh.
What can you do?
Yeah.
He went down with the plane,
Oh,
and he was a first pilot and on his first mission.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Fighters, 6 ME-109 at 3 o'clock. Keep after him, Winchell. I see him. I'm on him. Come on, use him. There's 4 of them. 1 o'clock high. They're coming around. Watch them. Fighters, 6 o'clock up, coming in, diving out, Chief.
B-17 in trouble out at 2 o'clock, watching.
Got an engine on fire. There's 2 more diving through the 94th.
3 planes, 9 o'clock, coming around. Keep your eye on them, boys.
I see him.
2 at 2 o'clock. Watch them, Scotty.
I got my sights on him.
Check that B-17, Chuck, 3 o'clock. Motor smoking. Fighters, 10 o'clock.
Watch those 2 at 12, Van. They're coming in.
They're coming in, Scotty.
Get that ball turn on him.
They're breaking 11, breaking 11.
I got him. Watch that fighter coming in at 3 o'clock.
He's coming in a half roll. Pull her up, Chief, pull her up.
B-17 out of control at 3 o'clock. Keep your eye on him, Bill.
See any parachutes, Quinlan? Come on, you guys, get out of that plane. Bail out.
There's one. He come out of the bomb bay. Yeah, I see him.
There's a tail gunner coming out.
Watch out for fighters.
When you landed, did you land in a field?
We were deep into Germany, over a target near Leipzig. And after the war, that became part of East Germany, Soviet-occupied East Germany. Anyway, while I was still in the air, the plane was still doing stalls in a circular motion, and at times it was pointed directly at me. So finally it went into a steep dive, and I saw it crash in a forest. And this was a heavily wooded area. It was forest, about, maybe 50 miles south of Berlin. And I have often wanted to go back, but I never did. There's a little town called Burg, B-U-R-G. I've looked it up on maps.
So when you actually landed, then
I
the Germans...
I came down in the deep forest. I crossed my legs and put my, take my face.
Thank you!
You know, I could have been killed in a tree easily.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or hung
Because
up
you're going
by...
down at about 15, 20 feet a second.
Did you get hung up in a tree or?
But I'm telling you, I was blessed. God must have been watching over me, because I opened my eyes and my feet were a foot off the ground. I came right through the trees and never.
And came at a run?
But the fact that I had waited that much longer after the others had left the group, because I saw some of them later, and they had been badly beat up by civilians.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
really?
were lucky they weren't strung up on a telephone pole.
That's what I
Yeah,
had heard.
a lot of the airmen were killed by civilians.
The civilians were worse than being picked up by the German army then.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think if you were luckier if you were picked up by the German army.
Yeah,
I think.
I read
Definitely,
that
yeah.
actually.
The Luftwaffe was in charge of Allied POWs. They had their own camps, and they were by far the better.